Willie D Live.
Man, take us back to Central Islip, man. Like, take us back. What was that like growing up in a town of, what was it, around 30,000 people or something?
Yeah, something like that. Well, actually, I'm from Nassau County, Roosevelt, Long Island.
Okay.
I was born in Meadowbrook Hospital. They call it Murderbrook. So Roosevelt is Nassau. Then my parents moved me to Central Islip with my grandmother, Miss Clara Buddha Hall and Leroy Hall. And my father, Keith Omar Murray Sr., is from Charleston, South Carolina, and my mother and grandmothers are. We from down south, but they moved to Roosevelt where they met each other and got married. And then they had me and my sister Demetria. She's 2 years older than me, D Ski. And they moved to Roosevelt. And then they lived in a house, and then I don't remember when they got a divorce or something, but my mother kept the last name, and I would go back from Central Islip to Roosevelt, where my Uncle T-Roy, the original B-boy, was listening to hip-hop, and I used to mimic everything he did. And then I would listen to the radio, Mr. Magic and um,
Red Alert?
Red Alert,
Yeah.
and Fly Tie and the Juice Crew, and Marley Marl,
Mm-hmm.
and MC Shannon, LL Cool J, and then
Melly Mel.
NWA, and then the Ghetto Boys. And then I just start listening to, when my grandmother would go to work at the Patterson home, she was a nurse. I would listen to her radio in the room.
Stop. You got to cut that off. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let me know when you're ready, Mario. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you was listening to your grandmother's
Radio.
radio.
My Uncle T. Roy, he had the tape, The Message, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I would listen to that. And then I would just, he was the B-boy. Everything he did was the dress with the Kangos and the BBDs and the Adidas and the Pumas and the Lees. And then they would make the tank tops out of the DVDs, cut them and stuff, wear the do-rags. And him and Richard, he would always rap to this day. Uncle T-Roy, rap, rap, rap. And my sister D-Ski was the B-girl. So I asked Uncle T-Roy, yo, how y'all do that? Then he said one day to me, he said, yo, grab a pen and write this down. Read it back to yourself and see how it sounds. It might sound like I'm just an MC, but I'm not. I'm a prince of poetry. See, I don't sit down and write rhymes every day, but people want to sound like me anyway. He told me to write that rhyme down. So I wrote it, and he told me to memorize it. And he said, when you memorize it, come back to me. So I memorized it. And then from there, I went to a place called Freeport Mall, and I bought Dougie Fresh Slick Rick in the show, and Run DMC Tougher Than Leather. And I had those two cassettes. Well, I had the vinyl. And I used to go to my boy Hugo house. And I used to play him on his radio, on his father's radio cassette player. And then I was just hip hop. Like I was just knew every song, listen to every record, Mr. Magic and Red Alert.
Did you battle?
Well, yeah. My uncle Born True's from Crown Heights, Brooklyn, East New York, and my brother Pooch from Bainbridge. So Born True, I was with my cousin Driss, God bless the dead. Born True used to bodyguard for Big Daddy Kane. So I used to take the train from Central Islip, Long Island to Brooklyn with Driss, and we used to be in the projects. And Uncle Born used to take me all around every project at 16 battling. But before then, my Uncle T-Roy, the original B-boy, like I mimicked everything he did to this day. So he used to wake me up out of my sleep. Yo, Keith, battle him, battle him, battle him. So I was battling him. Then Uncle Boy used to take me around. And I was battling. And then it just became something because I used to rhyme when other people in my hood it wasn't popular to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I just picked it up from there. My MC name was Do Damage.
I know. MC do damage.
Yeah, yeah. But
I know.
before that, it was Keefy Keef.
Yeah. Now, what made you want to switch up? What made you want to change go from MC do damage to your government name?
Well, I played sports in high school a lot, and Murray, the name would ring. Basketball, soccer, track, and like the rap names never stuck with me. It was just Murray or Ma or Keith Murray. Or I was in the streets selling drugs. It was just I'm in a gang called a group of men, young men that gave themselves a name called LOD, Legion of Doom.
Yeah, Legion of Doom. Yeah.
So the cops and called us a gang.
And when did y'all evolve into a group? With you and 50 Grand and Kel Vicious.
That's crazy.
And
Really,
Ron J.
you know the history.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm from Central Islip, Long Island, where K Solo is from.
Yeah.
So when I was on the Carlton Avenue selling hand-to-hand drugs and stuff, we used to just be running up the cars and going uptown, reeing up. K Solo used to come to the block.
Yeah.
He was with EPMD. He was with Parrish in the EPMD. So I asked him one day, yo, could you take me to Erick's house? So I was driving a Montero with Urban Gorilla, I call it. With Urban Gorilla, had the tire on the back. So I went to Lowell Avenue, and I saw him. He was talking to a girl. I drove by, so I made a U-turn, and I went to him. So he took me to Erick Sermon's house, and I knocked on the door, waited. 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 And then all of a sudden I seen a dude coming up the steps, a dark figure. Then I seen his face, then I seen his eyes. I was like, oh shit, that's he. But mind you, when I was young in Roosevelt, I heard the Mr. Magic and Molly Moore playing the records in Red Alert. And then I heard, then I'm on track like a Long Island train conductor. I'm getting goosebumps. I was like, oh shit, yo, this shit was blowing my mind. Then I was like, yo, and then my friend Wink, I'm best friends with Wink. He was friends with Erick. He was cousins with Erick. And then E used to come up to the high school in a Suzuki. Then we used to be in the back cutting, playing basketball. Mr. Billy used to come. E used to be sitting there. I was like, yo. So I just started being around, going to watching the shows at the VFW with Midnight Express and KB and them. And then we used to be under the light, me and my boy Drew. And he's like, yo, Redman got on with EPMD. And I used to have all these rhymes and stuff. And then one day I just asked Solo, so I went in the room with E, right? He was playing beats and I was just spitting rhymes. And he was like, yeah, I like that, come back. So I used to go back, at that time, going to college, New York Tech.
Was this like 92, 93?
It was like 90. It was like I was in high school, I just got out of high school, so it was like that summer. It was like 90, but then I had caught an assault charge, and I had to go do 6 months, 5 years probation, and I was talking to E on the phone in jail. Then I got out, and I would see Redman and DOS Effects in them go to E house, and then I would follow the tour bus, like when they was local, like Connecticut, when me and Tone Capone, Erick cousin, follow the bus. I used to be with Tone Capone all around time, rhyming too, following E. And then that day I just got with E, and then I used to go back and forth. And then he was like, yo, Murray, yeah, you're getting somewhere. Then he was like, don't come back if you don't have no rhymes. Because then I started saying all the rhymes that he was familiar with. I was running out of rhymes. So I went and was making new rhymes. He's like, don't come back to you, man. Then I came back, yo, y'all mythological niggas is comical. The action of, you know what I'm saying? So I going crazy with it. And then it just started happening. But I was with E 2 years before I ever touched the microphone.
Yeah. Okay.
He would go, I would see him, he would go on tour. He was like, Then Hostile came. And he was like, yo, I'm gonna start bringing you out.
Yeah. That was beautiful, man. And it did look like when you came out, when he brought you out, you could tell you was gonna be trouble when you was sitting in that window like this, and the video on Hostile. I always say hostile, but you pronounce it hostile. But
Yeah.
but you in the
It's
window on
hostile,
the
like
yeah,
tomato.
yeah, in the video. You like standing, sitting in the window, looking out the window. You remember, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, this that hit.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, oh, he finna rip. He about to rip. You ripped it, man. You ripped it, boy. You say first time I ever heard
That
somebody
actually
use
was
the
a
word.
single on Erick's No Pressure.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard a rapper use the word, well, anybody use the word cerebellum in a song. Like, you said, cerebellum, you got a crew, you better tell them.
Yeah, because I used to be in I'm like a big buff for education, extensive library, and I'm like scholastic in school, so I heard the education. So I would be in science class. My soccer coach, which was my basketball coach, Mr. Watkins, and then Mr. Mott was my English teacher. So I would be in class reading the books, but actually these words, scientific words, would come out at me. So instead of doing in class, doing work, I would have like one time me and my boy Apple stole a gun from Warren. So I had the 2.5. I was breaking the gun down, but I was also writing rhymes. In the back of the class, I had the book up so the teacher wouldn't see it. So the words were just coming at me, these like 4 and 5 syllable words. So I knew in hip hop around that time, you had to be original. You had to have your own style. You couldn't sound like nobody, and you had to have a niche. So I would emulate LL Cool J, MC Shan, and the Ghetto Boys, and NWA and EPMD. So you went back to the name. I was like, well, I just went with my name. I'm Keith Omar Murray Jr. My father is Keith Omar Murray Sr. Bubba. I'm Baby Bubba. Hubba Bubba, if you're nasty. He used to always say that. So, and my uncle and my grandma, my uncle Marvin, and my grandmother Darlie Mae called me Keysmo. So the Keith Murray, it just stuck. So I may change my name to Keysmo now, but the Keith Murray, Baby Bubba, Keysmo.
I'm glad you went with Keith Murray. I wish I would have went with Willie Dennis instead of just Willie D, because it presents issues from time to time when you're trying to do real business, right? Yeah, it's cool, in hip hop and on stage or whatever. But when the stage is just a fraction of your life,
Right.
and so when you're trying to do other things, even when you get your plaque, man, you got it, Willie D. Dennis, like, all that kind of stuff,
but
man.
you did do Willie D. You kept the name.
Yeah.
And then Erick Sermon had Erick Sermon, Paris Smith, and Slick Ricky Walters, James Tar Smith. So it wasn't hard for me not to use my original name because the sobriquets or the nicknames didn't stick with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's dope. That's super, super dope.
And then you got to be careful for what you name yourself, because if you name yourself that, it could be negative or positive, and it will take that form.
Oh, yeah. It happens like that, especially if you name yourself 50 shots. I killed 9 people.
Yeah, my boy
hold on.
Two-Face. Named himself Two-Face. He shot himself in the face and committed suicide.
Yeah.
When my man shot him, God bless his dad, his sister, he used to go with his sister. Two-Face shot himself in the garage because the FBI came and got him because we were selling a lot of drugs, but at that time I wasn't. I got out of the game, and he was still selling kilos and stuff. And then he had a girl who was a mule, and they hid her. And then the FBI found her, and then came and got him, and he killed himself in the garage on his birthday. Two-Face.